Hi, my name is Ken Tomiyama, and you can call me Dr. T. That's easier for you. I am at the Future Robotics Technology Center at CHIBA Institute of Technology. I am going to talk about robots, and especially robots in welfare field, but all the opinions I am going to talk about is mine and mine only. It's not the opinion of the laboratory, Furo laboratory. Okay, then.
Yes. So could we talk a little bit about what is happening in Furo and what is your research and what have you been doing?
All right. Furo, the laboratory is very famous for the robot went into the nuclear disaster site in Fukushima, and our robot was the first one able to get data out of that disaster site. And of course, we make a lot of other robots as well, and some of them are exhibited in one of our branch campuses in Tokyo. So please come and see.
Good. So what is going to happen? What is happening right now in the world of healthcare robotics?
Yeah, world of healthcare robotics in Japan you're talking about, probably. Well, there are a lot of things happening. The one thing is that the government is now getting serious. Our Japanese government is getting serious about developing something which can be really used by the people at welfare sites. So, in 5 years span, our government tried to come up with the idea of what area is worth investing their money. So what they have done is they bought lots of welfare-related robots and distributed them among many different places. In return, government is getting information as to how good they are in the real situation and how well those machines are maintained and what is the relationship between the workers of those welfare facilities and the robots. And based on those robots, Japanese government will decide what kind of area they are investing on.
People have a lot of dreams about robots and a robot as a solution to the future problems in welfare. But in fact, there are many kind of problems and there are many situations. Maybe you'd like to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. The basics of that problem is that the robotics people who develop robots do not know the actual field of welfare. And the welfare people do not know, of course, what robots can do, and etc., etc. So there is a big mismatch between the caretakers, care workers, and robot engineers. And we need somebody who can go in between, who can understand both the actual field of cares and welfare, and at the same time have some knowledge about the robotics technology, so that they can match those two groups together and to come up with a robot system which is really usable in the real situation. That's what the big problem right now. We just don't have enough people who can understand both sides. And well, if I may add, I have been working on, well, educating my students to understand both fields. And I call that robotic system producer. Those people can help to develop the system which actually can be used in the care field.
Okay. So my next question would be, we talked about a little bit before we had this video. You told me about something that, what do we need to make robotics part and mainstream, healthcare robotics mainstream? You mentioned something about the culture of creating a culture. Could you explain a bit about that?
I guess that one of the mistakes us robotics engineers made was that we put too much emphasis on building new robots, but we didn't actually look into how those robots are used. And that is very, very important that you have to visualize how your robot is going to be used in the actual world. In other words, how should I say, the matching between the actual field and robots. And in Japanese culture, robots are very close to human beings. As you know that there are lots of animations of robots and so forth. So we have lots of, how should I say, familiarities and friendship with the robots. But still, those robots in animation, they are, how should I say, they are ideal robots. They can do everything. But actual robots they cannot do it. So what we have to do, robot engineer, myself is a robot engineer, is to let the people in welfare field know what we can do, and what we cannot do. So together we can create an environment, not just robot, but an environment where robot and people work together. That is very, very important.
So another question is, in the next 5 years, there's going to be a survey, there are kind of things. But so in 10 years from now, how do you see this situation changing in Japan and in the world?
Okay. In 10 years, I have two things. One of them that I am very hopeful that the AI technologies and component technologies of robot hardware match together so that we can come up with a robot which is very clever and which is usable in the actual field. In 10 years, however, I don't see the actual robots working with people in the welfare field. Rather, we will develop robots which can be used for specific purposes, like helping. One of the important things is that in many of those care tasks, there are tasks which are good for human beings and other tasks which are good for robots. So what I will see in 10 years is that we make clear distinction between these two, and so that we can develop a robot which can do the things which are good for the robots, like watching a cared person for 24 hours a day. That is easy for the robot, but for human beings, it's very difficult. And we will have enough technologies. I'm saying component technologies to come up with a system which can be used. So the amount of business going on, robotics business, welfare business, will be quite a big business. Not saying a robot, but a robot per se of doing everything, but a robot which can do the specific tasks.
So I have a question that is different. We haven't discussed yet, but what kind of limitation should we impose on healthcare robotics? Should we draw a line and say we should only do this until here, or should we just allow it to see where it goes?
Well, of course, you want to have a robot in Japanese animation like Atom, Astro Boy, which can do everything, right? But that is just a dream. And I think that there are care tasks which I'm repeating myself, but there are care tasks which are better for human beings, and robots shouldn't do that. In other words, robots should not replace the caretakers. This is my opinion, that the robots should help caretakers to do good care work. And that's where robots are all about. Originally, the concept of robot was the thing which helps us, okay? Not replace us. And that part is forgotten quite easily. But remember, robots are the thing which can help us. And that is very important in the welfare field as well.
Okay, well, Tomiyama Ken,
Yeah?
thank you very much.
Yeah.
He's working at Food Hope, but all the information he just gave us is obviously his own personal opinion, but it's based on his experience of having worked for many years in a very
Thank you.
important organization here and a university here in Japan. Thank you very much.
Well, as you know, the robot is a system of many components. Even hardware you think about, that you need motors, you need structures, you need sensors, and you need gears, etc., etc. And there are a lot of components. And the quality of the robot is controlled by those components. So we need to have very good components, and the best our robot can do is controlled by how good our components are. So that's one limitation of our robot. And another thing is that when you sell robots, of course that we have to ask some insurance company to insure our robots. That means we do have to have a very good safety consideration to our robots. But if you think about it, if my robot is able to carry human beings, it has to have a lot of power. So if that anything happens to the robot and throw away a person, well, that's a big disaster. So how do you prevent that? All those safety features are necessary before insurance company says, okay, we will insure your robot. And until that time, we cannot sell robots. So for the robots to be able, well, for people to be able to use our robots, we have to solve those technical problems and the financial problems and probably political problems as well.
Thank you so much.